Compound interest is the bedrock of any long-term investment, the absolute foundation. And it's how it's going to turn small amounts of money into massive savings. Let's see how we can do that. Hi folks, of course it is David here again from prettypenny.club. I make videos on passive income, investments and making your pennies work harder for you. Hit subscribe if that sounds interesting to you. Yes, so as I said in the introduction, compound interest is at the very foundation of any long-term investing strategy, and it's definitely something you're going to want to consider going forward and as you plan for your financial freedom in the years ahead. Compound interest can be a tough sell. It is not the most glamorous of subjects, but if you're really serious about passive incomes and investments over the long term, it's definitely something you need to have a good grasp of. So stick with it, and I promise you'll be pleased with what can be achieved. So to understand compound interest properly, let's talk about simple interest first of all. So let's say you have £100 to invest. That's your starting balance. We call that the principal. And if you were to earn 5% simple interest on your principal of £100, then after a year, if that was your interest period, you would have £105. After 2 years, you would have £110. After 3 years, 115, and so on and so on. The interest is calculated on the principal each year and never increases. It's just 5% of the principal, 5% of the principal, 5% of the principal. Straightforward enough. With compound interest, we can earn interest on our interest. So if we keep with the same example of £100 at 5% a year, then after year 1 we will have £105. In year 2 we will earn interest on £105, not just £100. So this is where we say the interest compounds, because every year after the first year we earn interest not only on our principal but all the interest that we have accrued up to that point. Let's have a look at an example. It's easier to see that way. Okay, so here I am on the excellent compound interest calculator at mattharris.net. I highly recommend you get on this and have a little play around with the numbers, but I'll give you a quick run through here. You can see this quote: "Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it." Albert Einstein. I am skeptical that Albert Einstein ever said anything like that. However, it's a good quote, so I can see why people have latched on to it. Anyway, let's keep with our similar example. £100, 5% interest, and say we want to let this accrue for 20 years. We can hit calculate, and here are the results. So after the first year, at 5% on £100, we obviously make £5. Now, after year 2, we are going to earn 5% on £105. So that year 2, we will earn £5.25. For year 3, we're going to earn 5% on £110.25p, which will yield £5.51, £5.57. And after 5 years, we're actually earning £1 a year more than we would have done if we had just stuck with simple interest. Now, you may be thinking, so what? That's £1 over 5 years. It's actually 20% more over 5 years. You're earning £6 now instead of 5, and that is the thing you have to keep in mind here going forward. If we continue to look through the rest of these numbers, then we can see that our starting balance of £100 becomes 105, 110, 115, 121, and so on up to this point here. In year 15, it is £207.89. Now, that is over double what we have initially invested, and this brings us on nicely to a thing called the rule of 72. The rule of 72 can be used to basically work out how long it's going to take for you to double your money, and it's as simple as taking the number 72 and dividing it by your interest rate. So if I divide 72 by 5, it comes out to about 14.4. So 14.4 years rounded up is going to be 15 years, and you can see that it actually would have doubled somewhere in between 14 and 15 years if you were being paid your interest on a more frequent basis. So if you can imagine then that if we're at £207.89 after 15 years, at 5% we're going to double this value after another 15 years. So let's just change this to 30 years. And you can see that in actual fact it doubles at around 29 years. Well, 14.4 years, I guess, doubled is 28.8. So we have in fact quadrupled our investment in 29 years. If we want to extrapolate that out even further, we can say 45. And we can see that after 45 years, we have nearly 9 times our investment. You can see then that we are actually earning £42.79 per year after 45 years. So £100 is quite a small amount of money to begin with, but you can see that after year 1 we earn £5 interest, and just by letting our money sit there, after 45 years we'd be earning £42.79. 45 years to earn £42 isn't great, but it does show that the only thing we need here for compound interest is time. It's consistent saving and time, because the longer you leave your money, the longer you can wait to withdraw that money, then the more striking the gains are going to be. It's what is known as the time value of your money. Just how long are you prepared to let your money grow? And this is where young people are an absolutely massive advantage, because if you can start saving regularly when you're maybe 20 years old, or when you get your first job, you can put some money away, you're going to have an absolutely massive amount of cash. If you can invest that money and keep it invested, you're going to have a huge amount of money for your retirement. Let's take an example of someone who can save regularly. So let's say we are starting again, we have £100 and we're going to get 5%. And we've just got our first job, so we've decided that we want to put a little money away for later retirement. So say we're 20 years old, we're going to save for 45 years until we're 65, and then finally stop working with a nest egg, hopefully. So we're going to save £100 per month for the entirety of our employment. So that, as an optional yearly top-up, is 1200, and we are going to calculate this. Now, I think these figures could blow your mind, frankly. So we start with £100, and at the end of year 1 we will add £1,200 to it. So we have a total of £1,300 and £5 that has been paid in interest for the year. £5 for the interest. After year 2 our interest is £65. After years 3, 128, and year 4, 194, year 5, 264, and so on. After 14 years we are now earning £1,000 plus in interest. After 22 years we are comfortably over £2,000, and so on until after 45 years we are earning £9,000 in interest alone. Now bear in mind, this is just for money sitting there doing nothing. So all you have to do is invest a small amount, and over a period of time, at 45 years old, if you never saved another penny of your life, you could expect to have something close to £200,000 for your retirement. This is where young people have a massive advantage over older folks like myself, because they can put away small amounts of money and see massive returns because they have time on their side. Compound interest is all about how long you can leave your money for, and the longer you can leave it for and the more patience you have, you can turn it into something really, really worthwhile. So that's compound interest with a few examples. I hope you find that worthwhile and useful to look at. It kind of blew my mind the first time I saw it, but it really goes to show that just a small amount of saving each month can really lead to something really, really big, substantial and juicy for you to get your teeth into in a few years. So in the next video I'm going to talk about some of the ways you can invest your money to take advantage of compound interest. There's all kinds of different services out there, from traditional bank accounts to peer-to-peer lending to investing in stocks and shares, and I'll be talking about the kind of money you can expect to make for the risk you're prepared to take. So if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know the instant that video gets uploaded, and please leave a like. It'll massively help this channel grow. That being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.